Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Mosai, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahai, not Allah, not Abba. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshua, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So gotta give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishop and elders, great millstone, who teach well, whether the apostles and elders of all Israel raised and accepted or not. In the sense of salutation to all the preaching this truth and believing in truth, but the four winds of the earth, then tell you we're all waking up the hope for the elect. And shalom to the Abba who are listening, learning. You for sisters who are listening, coming at you in the lesson, truth, faith, and edification. On the day of edification, Lord, wouldn't be edifying. So I take this lesson. Look how the Lord is taking away all your comfort. And I saw these clips a little earlier, and I just want to show them and get a couple of precepts. Lord, wouldn't be too long. So this is talking about landlords and those that be on Section 8, right? And it's crazy because most of the people that's on Section 8, government assistance, everything that the government gives out for help, it's mostly so-called white people. 60% of the help that the government is giving out, all their help, Section 8, HUD, Habitat Housing, Social Security Disability, EBT, right? Any SNAP program, whatever, it's 60% of so-called white people. Most of the crime that's done in America is 60% of white people, man. Edomites. But they control the media, so they control the numbers. But anyway, check this out. Let me turn this right now. See, the Lord is taking all this away, man. And he's taking it away from 2/3 of Jake and heathens. Because in this chess game, if you're not seeking Yahweh Shema Shah, then that makes you a 2/3. So that makes you collateral damage and casualties of war.
Section 8 is very much in high demand.
Brian Mullins manages around 100 rental properties. 35 of those are Section 8 eligible.
Personally, I would love to be able to do more Section 8.
But Brian said the process of moving someone with a voucher into a home is slow and costly, leading some landlords to abandon the practice completely. Once landlords find a tenant to move into a unit, they must wait for a housing quality standards inspection, which can take weeks, leaving the home vacant until an inspection is passed.
A lot of people, and I know several property managers that just don't want to do Section 8 anymore because it simply doesn't make financial sense. Because the amount of time it takes for us to place one Section 8 tenant is probably 2 to 3 times the amount of time that it would take a non-Section 8 tenant to move into a property.
The inspection looks to see if the house and its appliances are operating as designed, making sure the unit is safe to live in. But some landlords say these inspections are too tedious, prolonging the move-in for tenants and leaving the landlord without income for weeks.
The best case scenario is in 3 weeks. After we submit that voucher, before they'll even do an inspection, to even have an opportunity to sign a lease and to move in.
And if the home does not pass the first inspection,
and we have to fix it and then start the whole 3-week process again to schedule another inspection. Probably 3/4 of the time, we're not passing on the first inspection, even if it's super minor.
Where tenants can move into non-Section 8 rentals immediately, Brian said he waits an average of 6 weeks for a tenant to move into one of his units. While he respects the purpose of the inspections, Brian said many of the units fail for reasons that are not safety issues.
The tenant's not able to move in at that point because one little minor thing failed, and so Section 8 stops them from moving in.
Leaders of the Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency, which operates in all 77 counties across Oklahoma, said they are confident they are doing a fair job of putting people in safe, affordable housing. They also said they value their partnership with landlords in the state.
We value our landlord partners 100%. Yes. Without our landlord partners, we would not have a Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program.
For the agency, it is not the process that is pushing landlords away. Director Deborah Jenkins said property owners could simply get money by not renting to Section 8 tenants.
So if you know that you can command those rents on the open market, you would much rather just go that route. I look at a unit, I like it, I pay the deposit, and I move in. Where you have all of these other hoops to jump through when you're participating in the Housing Choice Voucher Program.
And the agency has an explanation for the wait times.
We normally schedule 2 weeks out because we've had owners and clients that say, well, I can't get off work or I have a prior commitment and things like that. So we use a 2-week rule to schedule those out.
And an explanation for why actions are so thorough.
I believe your list.
And the crazy thing is, it should be inspections. That should be a good thing. Because what if it got mold in it? That should be a good thing. So instead of getting inspections, so these people can stay in them, you rather sell it to someone they're going to overlook these things. That's crazy, man.
Of items that we're routinely failing units for. They're items that you or I would want to make sure are operable or, exist in a unit that's not being assisted.
In December, the Oklahoma City Housing Authority said they had seen an increase in the number of landlords stepping away from accepting Section 8. But this isn't just happening in the metro. The Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency said this is a trend all across Oklahoma. And without incentives for landlords, finding Section 8 properties could become even more difficult to those with a voucher.
I'm afraid that me and my sister's just going to be homeless, trying to wait for this approval, trying to wait for these Section 8s, these landlords and everything else.
Rebecca Nunez and her sister Eleanor are surrounded by boxes in their apartment. They have 30 days to pack and find a home after having problems with their previous unit.
They have to fill out a form. You have to send it into the company. They have to get a hold of you and the Lord, do a walkthrough, tell the landlord what's wrong, what needs to be fixed. And then about 2 weeks later, they have to redo the walkthrough and see if these things were fixed. And then, you can move in.
Now they're up against the clock, fearing the lengthy inspection process could leave them without a roof over their head.
Yeah, 30 days ain't gonna cut it.
And while landlords say they enjoy offering rentals to those with housing choice vouchers, they say the process is driving them away.
Some of our Section 8 tenants are some of our best tenants. So it's not the people, it's the system to get the people into the unit.
So what's going to happen next year? The Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency said they are always open to feedback from landlords and improving operations within the agency.
They said 2 out of 3, right? 2 out of 3 Jakes is murderers and robbers and all this and that, right? Well, there was two Edomite women out of 3 that was on Section 8 together. Let me get this. Now, here is Northern Kingdom. Because the Lord said in Hosea 5:15 that he would be, let me read it. Before I get this, let me read it. This is Hosea chapter 5, verse 14. It reads, "For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him." So check this out. And we keep telling you, Jakes, you can own the house, but you'll never own the land. And once Esau said they want the land, what you gonna do? There's nothing you can do but get off the land. Check this out.
They're calling us trailer trash, undesirable. Leave us alone. We're not bothering anybody. We're paying our rent. Nobody's here is a criminal.
1 in 20 Americans live in mobile homes or trailers. Many of them could face eviction at any moment.
We already knew that we couldn't afford to go rent or live anywhere else. Why should we have to go rent when we own our home?
Investors all across the country are buying up mobile home parks, and these new owners can choose to drastically increase rent or repurpose the land without warning.
You're talking about families and you're talking about elderly that are on fixed incomes. Mobile home parks are the most affordable housing that there is right now.
I hope you can help me to get more time to find a home for my 5 brothers and my mother.
As one investor put it, affordable housing gets hotter when the nation gets poorer.
My mom didn't have to rely on the government for housing. If they move her to a place where she has to pay $1,300 rent for a 2-bedroom, for the rest of her life, she needs government assistance where she didn't before.
For low-income residents, there is often nowhere else to go.
What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And the guy puts a hot water heater in. He said, "You're going to take that with you?" I said, "What street corner am I going to put it on?"
When Alondra Ruiz Vasquez and her husband bought a home in Periwinkle Mobile Home Park in Central Phoenix, they had no idea that they could be forced to leave. Many of her neighbors have lived in their mobile homes for decades.
Everybody has their own little space where we live. This is our home. We own it. We own the mobile home, but we don't own the land that it sits on. I just don't feel that we could and we should go rent somewhere where we own a home already. But unfortunately, the truth is that we don't own the land.
More than 70% of mobile home residents own their homes, but they still have.
And that's everybody in America, man. Unless you live in the country. At least the land was given to you. It's through like a grandfather-in-law they have, you know, in the old days. But you still got to pay taxes. You still got to pay taxes, man. And that's what the Lord said in Micah 2:10, that this is not our rest, man. Jake trying to build permanent situations on a temporary rulership, man. This place is going down, man. Let me read that. This is Micah 2:10. And it's sad how Esau, but this is his kingdom. Esau can just do anybody, Jake's or heathen, his own people. It doesn't matter. Because we mention it from time to time, man. There should not be one homeless person. There should not be one homeless so-called white person on the planet. Their people have the money, man. They have white privilege and generational wealth. There shouldn't be one homeless white person in America, period. But there's many. And there's more out there that's homeless than so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. They just play with the numbers because they control the media. Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. It's polluted, man.
To pay rent for the lot they sit on. And when rent prices spike or the parks close, residents can't just up and move their homes, because mobile homes aren't really that mobile. They can cost thousands of dollars to move them, and they might even fall apart if you try.
When we bought the place, we thought it was never going to be taken away from us. We were thinking we're going to be here many, many years.
Grand Canyon University, or GCU, bought the Periwinkle mobile home lot 6.5 years ago. But residents were not served a notice to vacate the land until April 2022. Alondra and her husband originally moved to Periwinkle to be closer to their volunteer soccer club, which serves refugee children in the neighborhood.
This is my kitchen. We have a bathroom over there and we have 1 bedroom. But these kids, like, they're really special to us. They are from Burundi and they are refugee kids here to the United States. And they are members of our soccer club. When their parents became homeless, they were evicted. We were able to bring the kids here. We've been able to help a lot of people.
Many residents in the park worry their only option will be to live in the streets. Alondra's next door neighbor, Jerry, has no idea where he will go.
Good to see you. You scared me the other day.
I bought this place when I was 55 years old, so it'd be the last place I have to go for the remainder of my life. So it was 28 years ago. I'm 83 years now. I'm in and out of the hospital on kind of heart problems. And my doctor said if I'm stressed, when I told him what the problem was, he said, try not to stress out over it. doesn't matter whether I try not to or not. I wake up in the middle of the night and
You see, that's another thing. He bought this when he was 55 years old. Done worked all his life, and come out enjoying life when you retire. That's when you kick the bucket, man. Especially if you ain't doing nothing. So Jay come over here to Babylon the Great, work most of their life. Let's say you buy a house, you got kids. Well, you finna die off and you finna leave the house to your kids. And what if your kids get the house? And then years later, after you done passed and gone, they wind up some kind of way losing the house, man. That's why Solomon said in Songs of Solomon chapter 2 that everything that he gained, he had to leave it to some kids that was gonna be wicked, man. But you work all your life, you get old, now they doing this. Well, this is the judgment of the Lord, man. You don't want to seek your help out your mama child while you got time. Then it's gonna be a rough patch, and in the end, you're gonna die without knowledge. Like I said in Job 36, man.
that's what I do. The middle of the night. What am I gonna do?
You see that? See that? He crying. Listen to this. In Isaiah 65, verse 4 reads, Isaiah 66 and verse 4. I also will choose their delusions and will bring fears upon them, because when I called, none did answer. The Lord blowing your phone up right now, every day. The Lord is blowing your phone up, calling you every day, but Jake ain't answering, man. Because when I called, none did answer. When I spake, they did not hear, but they did evil before my eyes and chose that in which I delighted not. See? Let me get one more. Zechariah chapter 7, verse 9, it reads, Thus speak of Yahweh of hosts, saying, execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassions, every man to his neighbor, and oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. And we are here telling you that North America gonna be destroyed. The Lord is pissed off with us to repent and turn back to Yahweh Shema Shah. The Lord is angry, man. But he's long suffering. And they tell you in Isaiah 9, other chapters, his arm is stretched out still to Jake, man. This is verse 11. But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears that they should not hear. Yeah, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, meaning their minds. That's why I tell you in 1 Timothy 4, their conscience have been seared with a hot iron. Yeah, they have made their hearts as an adamant stone, which is their minds, lest they should hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts have sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from Yahweh of hosts. Therefore it is come to pass that as he cried, and they would not hear, so they cried, and I would not hear, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. So when you see Jake crying, hey, the Lord been crying for a long time, man, and he's still crying. That's why the Lord say, pray not for these people, for they are good. I mentioned it a lot, man. What Jake think, what the world think is good, the Lord don't care about that, man. The Lord don't care about you feeding homeless people. The Lord don't care about that, man. If you ain't eating this role as a man to go and be a watchman and a teacher, or you a female that's not learning, the Lord gonna kill you, man. He don't care about what you think is good.
Where am I going to go? They just like,
See, are we not all pilgrims here in America, man? This is not our rest. He tell me where he gonna go. If you following the ways of the Lord, you know anytime the Lord can put a spirit on a so-called white man to take whatever you got. At any time, the Lord can take what we got. We are not to be comfortable here, man. This ain't ours. This is a temporary place for us, man. It was for a punishment and a correction. It's not permanent. Well, guess what? The same way he crying to my where he gonna go. Most of these Jakes that's riding in Challengers and Chargers and BMWs and Lexuses, and Cayenne Porsche trucks, hey, they're gonna be crying too, man. Because the Lord gonna take everything they got because Jake think this is a permanent place, man. This is a temporary place for us, man. It was for a correction. It was for a punishment and a correction, man. And to go back home. Go read Deuteronomy 30, 1 through 6. This is a temporary place for us, man. A punishment and a correction. But Jake have made this a permanent place. And then all of a sudden the Lord just take everything you got. Because we don't got nothing here. Hey, that we were reading last night, 2 Corinthians 6, man. What we got, it's a having nothing but yet possessing all things. This truth, man, this faith. This is what's going to get us out of here. Isaiah 33 and 6. Not how much money you got. Not if you ride around in a Lamborghini paid for. The Lord don't care about that, man. All this is going to be burnt up, man.
We're non-existent. Why the government don't step in and do something about this?
Hold on. You heard what he just said? You see? Why do not the government step in and do something about this? The Lord said, I got to get it. Isaiah 31 and 1. It reads, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will rise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. So the help that the so-called white man is giving you is them working iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, that's your government, and he that is hoping, the ones that's being helped, shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. So you trusting in the government in a system that's broken. Isaiah 13 and 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword, shall fall by the sword. So you trusting in a government. Let's get this, Isaiah 36 and 6. It reads, lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, on Babylon the Great America. That's why it's the pyramid on the back of the dollar. On Egypt, whereon if a man lean, if you trust in it, it will go into his hand and pierce it. And that's going to be that sea hill. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. You see? But the government you trusting in is failing. The government, and we mentioned this at camp, when they established the Declaration of Independence, the constitutions, what was you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians at? Where you was at? When they established the Declaration of Independence, where was you located? With chains on you? So the minute Jake get loose, because Jake want to be a part of something, Jake just got to be a part of something. You was in slavery when they created their system for them, their right to bear arms and freedom of speech. That was to the Edomites, the so-called white people, man. They had nothing to do with you so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. And the Lord had them so-called white people to do that to mess your mind up, man. Which turned you to what? Isaiah 30. That turned you to what? Slow belly, Stockholm syndrome, bug outs. Isaiah 30 and 12. It reads, wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression. You trust, Jake, the Lord designed us to trust in oppression. The 2/3 he designed, to trust in oppression. Because ye despise his word and trust in oppression and perverseness. Therefore this iniquity, what iniquity? To trust in oppression. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out on a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And and he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there should not be found in the bursting of it a sherd to take fire from the hearth, or to take water with her out of the pit. So ain't gonna be none of you left that trusting in these devils. All of you gonna be destroyed, man.
For us.
I started to worry about Jerry.
Hold on.
I too don't know the night. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? They treat us like we're non-existent. Why the government don't step in and do something about this? Fight for us.
I started to worry about Jerry. Because I know I had a solution. I know I have family or friends, but I don't know where Jerry would go. I started to worry about my neighbor that lives right in front of me. She's a single mom, and I started like losing sleep and staying awake at night, just thinking, about the families that live here.
See, they crying, right? That's enough of that. Let me get this new. They crying. The Lord said he crying too. He been crying for a long time, man. But nobody is mourning. Now let me check this out. Now this is madness. Check this out. Because the Lord said we was going to eat all our food to follow him in the Gentiles. And that's why I just titled this lesson. Look how the Lord is taking away all our comfort. Check this out.
Okay. So you think this is olive oil, right? Wrong. Well, maybe some of it is, but this is actually a classic example of food fraud.
Extra virgin olive oils are being switched out with cheap ones.
And fraudulent to sell something labeled as something else.
Why is this fish being mislabeled? Your Parmesan cheese products do not contain any Parmesan cheese.
As there was no one brand that stood out as completely safe.
Wow, so we can't eat anything.
I guarantee you, anytime a product can be passed off as something more expensive, it will be. It's that simple.
Counterfeits, dilution, substitution, and mislabeling. Food fraud not only harms consumers' wallets, it puts their health and safety at risk.
We might not know the overall impact of food fraud because so much of what fraudsters do is hidden from us and has been for centuries.
Some estimates say food fraud affects at least 1% of the global food industry, at a cost as high as $40 billion a year, according to the food.
Now, before I go on with that, let me just read this in Haggai, because Jake is one about building their houses, man. Let me read this real quick. This is Haggai chapter 1, verse 2. Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, this people say, the time is not come, that the time that the Lord's house should be built. Then came the word of Yahweh by Haggai the prophet, saying, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your seer houses, and this house lieth waste? This is about the building. I mentioned this before, man. Hey, we sort of be trying to be part of the Lord's building, the Lord's house, so we'll have somewhere to run into and be covered in Jacob's trouble, man. Jake warned about their houses. Jake warned about benefiting. This all finna be burnt up, man. And Jake can't see the vision. Well, the Lord gave you the prophets, the Lord gave you the messengers to tell you about the vision, to give you scripture through the Spirit to show you that this place is finna end, man. And you should be one about building on the Lord's house, man. And if you're a woman you can't teach, you should be trying to help the brothers, man. All hands on deck, man. When you read in Ezra, chapter 1, the Ezra, E-Z-R-A, when you read that, it tell you how, in the book of Nehemiah, how everybody had hands on, man. Say everybody had one hand on the work and one hand on the sword, man. Okay? This is a spiritual battle now. All hands supposed to be on deck, man. Matthew 9, the harvest truly is plenty, but the labors are few. And if you're trying to build your own thing, you're trying to do your own thing. You're trying to be successful here. That's you building on your own. Well, that's going to come to an end. And if you have not been having hands-on building of the Lord's house, you ain't going to have no covering, man. This place is finna burn up, man. They create missiles every day to be shut off. This is back in Haggai 1 and 3. Is it time for you or ye to dwell in your seer houses, and this house allow waste. Now therefore, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much and bring in little. We bust our ass and go to work, man, and don't bring in much. And when you do bring it in, it's going on rent and car insurance, cable, internet, food. You got to buy the things for the house, bleach and soap and toothpaste and tissue and paper towels and this and that, man. You have so much and bring in little. You eat, but you have not enough. You drink, but you are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And the Lord said all this because we don't own the resources. You go buy clothes that eventually wear out. Or you may grow out of the clothes. Especially when you're dealing with kids, their shoes get big, their feet get big. They grow out of the clothes. So here it is, we don't own the resources. We don't own where the water and the food come from. We have been little. Before we even get our money, they're taking taxes out of it. But Jake ain't considering none of this, man. You have so much and bring in little. You eat, but you have not enough. Not saying you don't get food when you eat. It's saying when your food get low, you can't just go out and say, trying to hit the vineyard again and get whatever you need. Or you got enough cattle, you could just slay one or whatever. We don't got no resources, man. You have so much and bring in little, but you have not enough. You drink, but you are not filled with drink. We don't own where the grapes get made at. We don't own the water. It's a Salakia, you drink, but you are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes, thus saith Yahweh. The minute you get your money, it's gone, man. You better can put a little bit away, man. Thus saith Yahweh, host, consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build a house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith Yahweh. Ye looked for much, and lo, it came too little. And when you brought it home, I did blow upon it. So what you get to come home with, the Lord said he blowing on it. So you don't have enough because your mind is not on building the Lord's house. Again, it say, you look for much, and lo, it came too little. And when you brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why? Saith Yahweh of hosts, because of my house that is waste, and ye run every man unto his own house. Therefore, heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. And I call for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which is ground, and that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all labor of the hands. This is what the Lord is doing right now. Check this out, man.
Food and Drug Administration.
Grocery Manufacturers of America estimated that 10% of the commercially available food in the United States is adulterated. That's 1 in 10. It means if you're not on that 8-item or less checkout line, you've got something in your cart when you leave the supermarket that's probably bogus.
Here's how and why fake food sits secretly in our kitchen cabinets. According to the FDA, food fraud is considered economically motivated adulteration, or EMA.
It's a monetary impact to the consumer and to the food manufacturers, but it's also a potential public safety, public health impact. It robs us of nutrients and can kill people and has done.
See?
Larry Olmsted.
That's why I say in Isaiah 24:5, man, the curse devouring the earth, man. Right? Let's read that, man. This is called food fraud, man. Everything we eat is fake, man. All of it. Isaiah 24. And these are Edomites telling you this, Jake. Isaiah 24:5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, meaning those who's in rulership, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant, therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. So here it is, these devils are telling us everything that we eating and touching and drinking is fake. Listen, and these are Edomites. They shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, man.
researched food fraud for years and published his book, Real Food, Fake Food, in 2016.
As I worked on this book, my definition of fake food became anytime what you buy is not what you think you're buying. Doesn't really matter whether it's legal or illegal. It's where you're being tricked. You're buying something that's not what you think it is.
The worst offenders can include seafood, meat, dairy, honey, alcohol, spices.
The fraud happens more with more expensive foods. Totally makes sense, right? There's a higher margin.
Take your extra virgin olive oil as an example. Fraud usually occurs here when a cheaper oil is added to the more expensive oil, and the label still reads 100% extra virgin olive oil. That's food fraud.
Olive oil has been adulterated for thousands of years because it is of high value and it is sought out.
They might flavor it with beta carotene and maybe color it with a little chlorophyll to make it a little more green. And so then you've got a lower quality, cheaper oil.
So both of these olive oils I got at the grocery store, and both of them are the store brand, but one cost way more than the other. This one had a label of 100% Mediterranean blend of extra virgin olive oil. So the olives were sourced from a bunch of different European countries, and it said it was packed in Italy, and there was no expiration date. And when I purchased this one was a 100% California extra virgin olive oil. First pressed, cold pressed, unfiltered, no artificial colors, preservatives, or flavors. And this one had an expiration date. It said that these olives were harvested in October, November 2022, and that it would be good on your shelf until August 2024. And it was much more expensive. Roughly twice as much as this olive oil. And this one had way more information about where this olive oil came from. Now let's look at the spice market as another one that's vulnerable to fraud. Think of an expensive spice like saffron. This tiny amount cost me $20 at the store. Saffron can be bulked up with some other material like plant stems and sold as the same, according to the FDA.
Popular spices like basil and chili powder from a range of different brands.
Anything that's kind of colored orange, brown, and ground up can be passed off as turmeric.
It's the ultimate bait and switch.
And then there's fish. The FDA says seafood fraud can occur when a less expensive species of fish is substituted for a more expensive species. After all, it's kind of hard to know what fish you're buying, right?
If you're an experienced chef or fishmonger, you can look at like a red snapper fillet and tell whether it's red snapper, but 99% of consumers can't. You know, most of the fish we eat is white fish. Every fillet looks pretty much the same, which is why there's so much substitution. The FDA is mandated by law to inspect 2% of the imported seafood, which is, I think, a very, very low bar.
In fact, the U.S. imports as much as 85% of its fish.
But federal fisheries enforcement is serious business. Agents from NOAA and U.S. Customs tear open a container filled with frozen fish from Thailand. They're looking for fraud.
First, it's important to understand the matrix that food fraud lives in. There's intentional and unintentional types of food risk. Unintentional risks include food safety and quality, like accidental foodborne illnesses.
CDC estimates about 50 million people a year contract a foodborne illness. Only 20%, 1 in 5 of those can be identified. So there's 40 million people a year getting sick from something they ate that we don't know what it is. And a good guess would be that fraud has something to do with that.
Then there's intentional. That's where food fraud is alongside food defense. The difference is fraud is motivated by economic gain and defense is motivated by harm.
If you have a ton of coffee and you can turn that into 1.2 tons by adding some cheap filler to it, you've just increased your profits by 20%. And a lot of these products pass through a lot of hands. They go from small growers to big trucks to tankers to boats to processing plants. It's not necessarily like this big company that's selling you coffee that's ripping you off. It can happen in a lot of ways along the way.
Even the FDA says it can't estimate how often this fraud happens or its economic impact. Over the last 10 years, the most common fraud committed is lying about an animal's origin and dilution or substitution, both ranking at 16% of incidents recorded. Dilution and substitution are exactly what they sound like. Perhaps somewhere along the supply chain, the real expensive process of refining something like fresh olives is ignored. Maybe a
So now Esau gonna go from saying giving you picks and choose of if you got real food or it's not, it's organic to everything is artificial. So just deal with it. Man, these devils gotta go, man.
little canola oil is added instead. Then there's the removal of value, when an ingredient or part of a food is intentionally left out, taken out, or substituted altogether. And that substitute can be a non-food substance. That's the 14% of the recorded food fraud incidents using non-food substances.
Hey, and it's all from Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Because this place gotta be destroyed. So everything is going, the food, the animals, the people, which I'm going to read, Lord willing. Everything gotta go, man. Everything gotta go.
The pandemic has given us a chance to focus on supply chains and forced us to.
For example, during the pandemic, labeling fraud really spiked in 2021 to 21% of the types of fraud that were committed and recorded.
You know, if we knew all about it, why hasn't it been solved? The key was we weren't focusing on prevention. Food fraud prevention, if we do it right, is boring. We're the fire marshal checking exits and smoke alarms, not catching the bad guy.
So nice you guys could stop by.
We really need new floors, but Gary's so tight with the budget.
It's actually a lot less than we thought.
It's time to love your floors. Lumber Liquidators is now LL Flooring. Find your right floor right now and save 10%.
Bad guys.
This has to ensure food safety. That's part of what the FDA does today.
Basically, all food fraud, all product fraud is illegal under one law or another somehow.
Before the FDA existed, manufacturers could add basically whatever they wanted into the food. Think of Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. That book was published in 1906. That same year, food safety regulation began with the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drugs Act, which outlawed adulterated and misbranded food items.
To protect consumers,
This ultimately led to the creation of the FDA.
the Food and Drug Administration and the
Since then, laws have hit the books to further food safety protocols, like the Food Safety Modernization Act signed into law in 2011.
And then horse meat hit.
The fraud was on a grand scale.
Horse meat was blended into beef in the UK, across Europe.
And sold to unsuspecting supermarkets for a period of 8 months in 2012. The scandal was...
And that was great wake-up call.
Some companies purposely mislead on labels.
Prosecuting the fraudsters committing the crime can be tricky. After all, they're purposely trying to avoid that detection. But criminals are caught. Like in 2016.
Product labeled Market Pantry 100% Parmesan contained cheaper Swiss and cheddar cheese and an organic filler called cellulose, which can be derived
This devil
from
is
wood
so
pulp.
serious.
Castle Cheese was caught adding wood pulp and cheddar to its grated
Wood pulp
Parmesan that
filler
they
they
sold
use in
as
the cheese.
100% Parmesan cheese.
The
Wow.
FDA does allow fillers like cellulose in cheese, but it can only make up 4% of the total ingredients.
The president of the company got a $5,000 fine, 200 hours of community service, and 3 years of probation.
For its part, the Food
Probation
and
and
Drug
fines,
Administration
man.
says its job is to make sure food
Wow.
doesn't hurt you, not to police the labels.
Fraud is tough for the consumer in terms of food because it's difficult. They don't have a lab in their kitchen.
The Food
Wow.
Fraud Prevention Think Tank has a 5-question survey consumers can use when shopping for food. 1. What type of product is it?
Be aware of product that you put on you, in you, or plug in the wall.
2. Quality. Can you recognize the difference between the products? If you can't easily tell the difference, that makes you more vulnerable to fraud.
If I drink scotch, I couldn't tell you if it's a difference between a $50 bottle and a $5,000 bottle. So I know I could be deceived at that point.
3. Supplier. Do you know the retailer or the supplier? And do you trust them?
So when you turn that box of cereal or bottle of juice over and read the back, there's a lot of information there that's required by law that's helpful to the consumer.
And then question 4. Are you buying this item online? The supply chain can be shrouded in more mystery when shopping online. So how did you find out about this website? Is it reputable?
But it depends on how you find that supplier.
And finally 5. Complain. Okay, it's not a question, but the food fraud prevention think tank says if the retailer is legit, they will want to know.
I think manufacturers can be the victims as well.
The FDA also relies on consumers' reports.
In recent decades, fraudsters have gotten more sophisticated in the techniques they use to fake the food products. And that means that our detection methods and our test methods and standards have to be better at detecting fraud.
That's why the U.S. Pharmacopoeia Convention provides a framework for organizations to detect its vulnerabilities.
We have
Hey, in 2nd Ezra 14, it say, watch how much the world should be weaker through age, man. And how much the more evils is going to increase, man. Look at this on the side. It say robots replacing fast food workers. Y'all buying fake olive oil. Why Americans feel so poor? Because the Lord is destroying this place, man. Look, are we getting dumber and dumber? Yeah. Yeah, the system of the so-called white man system is dumb Jake down, man.
food fraud mitigation guidance. So it is a supply chain risk management tool to really take a look at which ones are the more risky products suspected to be adulterated.
Sometimes it feels like this is not that big of a deal. But the more fraudsters are able to achieve, the more we end up paying in the end as consumers.
These cases rarely result in criminal penalties. If you want to be like a drug dealer and import heroin and you get arrested on a large scale, you're going to go to jail. But if you can make $80 million importing adulterated honey, and then you're going to get a slap on the wrist and some fines, why wouldn't you do food instead of drugs if there's no basically criminal downside to it? So as long as we don't take it seriously, why should the perpetrators take it seriously?
So, yeah, I just want you to see most of that. I'm going to get a couple precepts. So in Isaiah 3:1, it reads, yeah, you got to go, man. These devils is destroying everything, man. But that's the Lord that's doing it. And the brother got a beautiful precept right here. I mean, there's a lot of precepts on the coming board fire like that. Let me read this one first. Brother had put up that Job 12:6. It's Pillars of Benjamin. Job 12:6, it reads, I bring this out a lot with Proverbs 26:10. The tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure, into whose hand God bringeth abundantly. These devils get away with this, man. And it also applies to these wacky pastors in these churches, man. The TD Snakes and Teflo Dollars and Geno Jennings and your favorite Israelite group, they all prosper. It said the tabernacle of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure, into whose hand God bringeth abundantly. Verse 7, but ask not of beasts, and they shall teach thee. What's happening to the beasts? The original hot boy BG is destroying them. And they shall teach thee, and the fowls of air, and they shall tell thee. What's going on with the birds? They dying off. It said, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee. What's happening to the earth? It's not yielding its full strength. As the Lord said, he told Cain the earth shall not yield its full strength. That's why I say in Isaiah 24:5 that the curse have devoured the earth, man. No land sap. And you heard the Edomite say we don't got no nutrients in the food. It say, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. See, the Lord is these things that's being mentioned now, the beasts. It say, but ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of air, and they shall tell thee, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee, because all these things are being taken away. Because the Lord said, let me just read it before I get there. 2nd Ezra 14 in verse 16, it reads, for greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. This is evil, man. We're eating a bunch of nothing food, man. It's all evil. And this company Cinemix, they're putting baby fetuses in the food, man, in the drinks. Everything that got food coloring in it, man. Food coloring and processed sugar, man. And Jake love these devils, man. Well, the Lord is destroying, the Lord is taking everything away, man. The Lord doing this, man. He's just using them to do it. So this is Isaiah 3:1. For behold, the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, doeth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the state and the staff. That's your comfort, right? Your rest, your protection, the state and the staff, the whole stale of bread and the whole stale of water. And this is Hosea chapter 4:1. Hear the word of Yahweh, ye children of Israel, for the Lord have a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field. Now we already eating artificial beef that they done took cells from the animals and put them in the bioreactor. Now we eating clone beef, chicken. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven. Yet the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. The Lord doing this, man. This is Zephaniah chapter 1 and 2. Say the same difference. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, saith Yahweh. The Lord doing this, man. And Jake don't have no clue of what's going on. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, saith Yahweh. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of the heaven and the fishes of the sea and the stumbling blocks with the wicked. And I will cut off man from off the land, saith the Lord Yahweh. See, the Lord doing this, man. Here's Joel. This is Joel chapter 1 and 16, reading the point. It reads, is not the meat cut off from before your eyes? Yeah, joy and gladness from the house of our Lord, of our power. The Lord is destroying everything, man. Yahweh Shema Shah doing this because this is how the place got to go, man. Everything is being taken away. Your comfort. You want to comfort and binge eat, watch shows, enjoy life, go to theme parks and party and go to clubs and go to house parties. The Lord is taking all that away, man. The mirth of the land is going, man. It's going. So there's some points I was thinking about, man, when I saw these clips. The Lord is destroying this place, man. And rightfully so, man. We ready to get out of here, man. We ready to go home. But 2/3 of Jake don't want this to happen, man. Well, the Lord say, put it in their face. They got to see it. See, and we keep mentioning how these people is doing these things. And you got people like, you got Edomites like Redacted, Glenn Beck, right? Dabu 7, Time for Uprising. These Edomites going in on this stuff, but they don't know why it's happening, man. The Lord set up men to filter everything that goes on through the news, man. But we read in articles, it was already written in the scriptures, man, and it's all playing out. The Jake talking about, y'all reading articles, this, and that. These things is happening, man. And the Lord gave us the spirit to filter all this through the scriptures, man. Yeah, let's read this. This is Kazak Ben Yahweh, Isaiah 51:11. The captive exile hastening that he may be loose, which is us, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. The captive exile hastens that he may be loose, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. Hey, the Lord is destroying this place, man. He's just using these devils to do it. But these things is happening, man. And all this is going to lead to you taking that SIM card, man. It's all leading to you taking that SIM card with all your information on it. Hey, so Lord was edifying. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishops and elders of Great Millstone, who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, already concepted or not. In a sincere salutation to all the ark and pushing this truth and believing this truth to the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the upward who are listening and learning. If your sisters are listening, hey, let me read this as the brother posted that. This is Psalms 82 and 4. It reads, deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. Verse 5 reads, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. 2/3 don't know what's going on. They don't have no clue. These devils got darkness throughout the four corners of the earth, and Jake have no clue what's going on. And the Lord said in Jeremiah 5, it reads, the last verse reads, the prophets prophesy falsely. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackass ain't telling you about these things, and they know it. LeBron James and them know about these things. They ain't telling you, man. They are paid servants, man. They keep their mouth shut. Court justice, man. High paid court justice, man. They are receiving a consolation prize, which a consolation prize is something you give to losers. And all your athletes, all who you idolize, they are giving consolation prize because they are losers, man. But they look like winners on this side. They are losers, man. It say the prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests got ruled by their means. And my people love to have it so. And what will ye do in the end thereof? Jake love to have this so, man. They don't want to hear the truth. They want to stay in the slumberings, man. And this devil is destroying the earth, man. And it's going to come to a point of time. Let's read this. Beautiful. Kazal Isaiah 24 and 10. The seat of confusion is broken down. It's breaking down, man. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. Wait till Jacob's trouble take flight, man. Oh, and that happened in 2020 when they say every house is shut up that no man may come in. That happened in 2020, man. And they showed you over there in China, man, lockdowns, man. It was lockdown over America, over there in Asia Minor, man. It was locked down, man. This is finna happen again, and it's gonna be worse this time. Verse 11, there is a cry, there is a crying for wine in the streets. This is when Amos 11 take flight, and the family of the word, and then you ain't gonna be able to hear this truth, man. You're gonna be looking for a messenger. Ain't gonna be none. As it said in Ezekiel 33 and 33, then you're gonna know in that time that there had been a prophet among you the whole time, and you ain't listened to him. Wait till Jacob's trouble, man. We keep telling you, we can't wait, man. When they shut down all these jobs, and you can't get no money, and you can't get no food, at least it be through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai feeding you. Then you're gonna be crying, man. Isaiah 24 and 11, there is a crying for wine in the streets, meaning the truth. All joy is darkened. That's a whole lesson in itself. Okay, 2 Ezra 5, Ezekiel 3, 24 through 27. Amos 5 and 13, it said it's gonna be an evil time. Let me pull it up. See, Jay, it's a game right now because you still get to go to the grocery store and buy food. You still get to go to work and to the theme parks. You still get to pull up at Popeyes or your favorite restaurant you like to eat at. It's all fun and games right now, man. It's Amos 5 and 13. Therefore, the prudent shall keep silent in that time. The prudent being those that was giving you the sound doctrine. Therefore, the prudent shall keep silent in that time, for it is an evil time. So right here, Isaiah 24 and 11 reads, there is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. Wait till this take place, man. And you're going to know in that time there was a prophet among you the whole time. And you thought he was a joke. You thought it was a joke, man. Y'all laughing Jake's face. Y'all think it's a game. Wait till Jacob's trouble, man. And it's coming. It's happening now. This devil done destroyed over 100 food processing plants, chicken, eggs, fish. They're destroying the beef now. Now they're giving you, and they've been doing it. You see it. They've been giving you fake, it's called food fraud, man. And they putting labels on it telling you this is how much preservatives and this is how much these vitamin waters, right? They tell you, oh, you get certain one, it got so much potassium in it, and the other ones don't. Man, these devils lying about all this, man. They are the forces of lies. Job 13 and 4 say they are forgers of lies, man. This is Isaiah 24 and 12. In the city is left desolation. And this is happening now, man. We watching things go from okay to desolation, man. Things are drying up in the midst of our eyes, and Jake out here ain't concerned about none of this, man. They chilling, partying. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. This is happening right now. We are watching the Lord take away all these things, man. He said our food in Ezekiel 4:13, our food won't be defiled among the Gentiles, man. The food is destroyed, man. Let's read that. Jake don't care. Long as they get to slide and enjoy life until you can't enjoy nothing, until you can't leave your house no more, man. Because that's going to happen again. That Isaiah 24:11, 24:10, man. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. And 2020, you couldn't go nowhere. This finna play out again. This time it's gonna be worse, and you ain't gonna be able to go nowhere. You're gonna be able to go straight from your house to a concentration camp, man. Straight from your house to that C-HIP center, man, to take that C-HIP, man. This is Ezekiel 4:13, and Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whether I will drive them. The food is defiled, man. It's been defiled. But here it is, WFI talking about, y'all read from articles. Well, look at these articles that Edomite put out. Look at these videos talking about food fraud, man. How are we supposed to get the information? The Lord set up the unicorn, man, the internet, the World Wide Web, man. And we getting it from the horse's mouth themselves. Let me get two precepts. In Psalms, the Lord said these Edomites are going to make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, man. So we got Edomites coming out with this information, man. This is Psalms 68:7. Jake talking about y'all reading articles. Okay. This is Psalm 68:7. It reads, no, Salakia. What was that? Psalm 64:7. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. What the whole flock doing? Fleeing from the Edomites. That the Lord said was that Zechariah 2, right? Let's read it. In Zechariah, we fleeing from these devils, man, because they've been lying the whole time, man. Zechariah 2:6. It reads, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north. This is spiritual fleeing. Mentally, this is mentally, spiritually, and emotionally fleeing. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally fleeing from these devils, man. Ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north. Saith Yahweh, for I have spread your abroad the four winds of heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. The Lord is making a separation, man. So this is Job 15 and verse 5. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity. All these clips I showed you, these is Edomites telling you about this food fraud, man. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Thy own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yet thy own lips testify against thee. I had to get one more. Proverbs 26:24 reads, the Lord got these devils coming out with it, man, because they can't hide no more. Jeremiah 49, the Lord said he made these devils bare. So now we get to see all these videos and news clips and these articles because the Lord has got them exposing themselves. And Jake still want to stay clean to the so-called white man. This is Proverbs 26:24. Whoso hate, it say, Salakia, he that hateth dissembling with his lips, see, his own lips testify against him, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. So this so-called white man it's a 7 abominations, 7 mean completion. So these Edomites are completely wicked, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. What the Lord said in Jeremiah 49. He made Esau bare, man. So Again, Proverbs 26 and 26. Whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. The Lord got these devils exposing everything about themselves, man, and what they have done in the earth. So, hey, again, the wife for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema shall continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. Wah, abba, abba.